Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and today we're going to talk about a pretty sensitive subject, body image. And I have a lot to say when it comes to body image, mostly because of what I've been going through, what social media expects of us. And I'm kind of here just to set shit straight, right? I don't want anybody to feel like they need to look a certain way, to be a certain way, to act a certain way. None of that. I've never believed that that was okay. And honestly, the more that I begin to use social media and the more that the world uses social media, the worse it's gotten. So today's episode is about body image and how it can honestly make or break your mental health. I want to first start off by giving you guys my story, where I'm at now, how I got here. And I then want to go into more about what I see, what I know, what the research says, and of course, what can we do about it? Let me start with a little backstory. When I was younger, I was always the tall, bigger girl in the class. I was always in the back row of the class pictures because I was tall and, "Oh, you're tall, it's fine. You can stand in the back." And, "Oh, but you know what? You're a little bit bigger, but you're taller, so you'll be in the back and nobody can see." Every single class picture, I'm in the back because I'm tall. I actually don't have a problem with being tall at all. I love being tall. When I was first getting into dating and first meeting people, it was pretty hard because I felt like every guy, no offense to the guys that are shorter than me, but every guy that I met was shorter than me. And I was just like, man, how come my friends are shorter than me and their boyfriends are taller than them? It was just that kind of a thing. That's a whole different topic for a different day. I always joke that God got tired of me complaining. So I say that God gave me a 7 footer so I would shut up because Ryan is 7 feet tall. But I was used to just kind of being that girl who was in the back. And I always dismissed it because, oh, I'm tall, I'm bigger. And bigger didn't necessarily mean taller. Bigger meant bigger belly, rounder face, just uncomfortable because that's just who I was. And I started to identify that way. I was never able to wear the clothes from Abercrombie. I think I had to go to Abercrombie and Fitch because God forbid they were the ones that actually sold the extra large. And at the time, I don't, I'm not hating on Abercrombie or Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't shop there. But those kinds of stores were where the bigger girls shopped, or they were not where the bigger girls shopped unless you went to a different store, maybe Aeropostale, because they also sold extra large. And because I could fit into an extra large, I would buy those clothes because I wanted to fit in. I would cave and I said, you know what? This is what the cool girls are wearing. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to look like. I'm going to buy those clothes. And even if the extra large is a little bit tight on me, I wanna wear it because these are cool, right? I These polos are in, or these jean skirts are in, or these, oh my gosh, what were those shoes called that had, like, an E on the side? All of it. No matter what I had, I never really felt like I fit in because to fit in, it meant that you were thin. It meant that you were thin. It meant that you had pretty blonde hair. It meant that you got your braces before everybody else because that was cool. And really, the biggest thing was that being thin was in. You got to wear the bikinis and you didn't have to worry about your belly fat hanging out because you didn't have any. And you also had a thigh gap and you had the body of everybody's dreams. You probably also did gymnastics and you probably looked a certain way. Before I continue with this, I do want to say I know that there is a totally different struggle of being thin and being criticized for that. So the point of this is not to say, this is for all the girls who have felt bigger, because I have more to say. And I'm going to tell you even more about the opposite because I've been on both ends of the spectrum. So hear me out. it's honestly kind of hard to talk about, so I apologize if I keep stopping, but bringing this story to my podcast and basically bringing it to life explains a lot, and it's the first time I've ever articulated this, so I appreciate your patience. Let's fast forward to high school. We get it. I was taller, I was bigger, I couldn't fit in the cool girl clothes, and I kinda just accepted it, you know? Everyone said that, "Oh, our family's just a little bit bigger, and we tend to carry more fat around our stomachs, and that's just the way it is, and it's fine." And honestly, honestly, I accepted it. I was like, "Okay, I'm never gonna look like these girls, that's fine. It is what it is." And then in high school, I started to dance, and off came the weight so fast. I competitively played Just Dance. Yes, the Wii game. I competitively played the Wii game, Just Dance, for hours after school because it was so fun. I did it with my best friend Shoshana. I did it with my sisters. I mean, we had so much fun. And I didn't do it because I was trying to lose weight. I did it just because I loved dancing and I loved playing and I loved the way it made me feel. And I started to notice the weight come off. And I said, "Oh, wow, this is kind of nice. Is this the way those girls feel?" And I kept dancing, again, not for the weight, but even more came off and more came off. And then everyone said, "Wow, Julie went from being overweight to having nice legs and being really thin and being really fit and her braces came off and her gap between her teeth went away and wow, now now she's pretty." Yep, now she's pretty. So, young Julie kinda heard all of that and was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, this is it." And I'm so sad because I didn't realize then that I was beautiful before, because according to society, I wasn't. I was bigger, and that wasn't okay. Now we're in college, and thin is in. I heard Kelsey Wells use that phrase, and it really clicks to describe how I felt during this time. I wanted to stay thin. And I wanted to do everything to stay thin because this was how you looked good in anything you bought. This is what made you attractive. This is what made the guys want to date me. And at this point in time, I didn't have a boyfriend. So I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm in a new environment. I went to school about 3 hours away, 2.5, 3 hours away from everybody else. I was going to find that person because I'm pretty now that I'm thin. And I didn't meet the right guy in college. And I'm laughing just because it's just so crazy that this is what the world taught me and has taught so many people. I'm thin, I'm dancing, I'm vice president of my school's dance club. I'm living my best life. I'm like, I'm a dancer, you know. Never ever thought I would be a gym girl, but I love dancing. And I stayed fit that way. I could eat not whatever I wanted, but kind of whatever I wanted because now I'm thin and apparently this is my new body. And then honestly, I don't I don't even know if I could pinpoint one exact moment, but then life happened. I lost my papu. For those of you who aren't Greek, that means my grandfather. And we were really close. I had lost my yaya, my grandmother, during high school, but I still was thin. I'm sure age had a whole number to do with it. Being 16, it was pretty easy to drop off the weight, but being, I guess, 20, not that it's hard when you're 20, but I went through a lot more when I was 20. My anxiety kicked in hardcore. School was actually really hard, and I'm not somebody that school was easy for. I got tested for special ed a couple times and never qualified, which is fine. but school was hard. And that year really sucked. I lost my papu. I was gaining the weight back. I wasn't paying attention to what I was eating. The anxiety, like I said, was through the roof. I was getting 4 hours of sleep a night. And there went being thin. Guys, this part of the story kills me. I went on a date with a guy. I don't even remember his name, but we're going to call him Jesus Freak. I'm religious, so I can make this joke. Every single comment I made, I kid you not, every single comment, he related it back to Jesus. I was like, I get it, dude. I'm Greek Orthodox. I'm religious. I believe in the Holy Trinity, but I do need you to kind of separate this for a bit. There is more to talk about than just this. And he couldn't. It was like the every single thing down to the way his body looked was because of Jesus. And he said to me that the reason he had abs was because Jesus wanted him to. I said, sir, I'm speechless. Throughout this date with this guy, I think his name was Chris. It's coming back to me now. We had only talked a couple days. And at first I was like, oh wow, he's pretty religious. This is cool. Like I said, I'm Greek, so I get it. But this was a whole other level of like, dude, my God. No offense to anybody who is at this level, but it just wasn't my jam, And it was a little bit like shove it down your throat. Not like a, hey, I believe in this, but it's cool that you believe in that. Like there was no acceptance of anything else. It was like judgment if you didn't. Because he was supposed to have abs, apparently. He couldn't eat anything that wasn't healthy. And I remember this one and only date that we ever had. It was a double date. And we went with my roommate and her boyfriend at the time. And I remember we got this awesome salad. My old school, or my college, I went to Salisbury. They had a pretty good salad bar. And then they had cake for dessert that day. I am stuttering all over my words, you guys. I'm sorry. This topic is pretty hard to talk about. And I'm so nervous doing this episode, but I knew I needed to do it. So please pardon my ADHD and my stuttering and my anxiety. But I got the cake, I got the salad, and I took it back to my seat. And he looked at me and said, ooh, no, 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 no. We're not supposed to eat that cake. I said, why? Does Jesus not want you to eat it? And he was like, no, you can't eat that cake. We need to get you abs. I wasn't very strong at this point. So I was like, fuck, he's right. And my roommate looked at me like, what the hell? Yes, she can fucking eat that piece of cake. If she wants a piece of cake, who the hell are you to tell her no? I was so thankful for her. And in that moment, I was so uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do. I was like, she's right. I don't want to not have this cake. I picked it up because I want it. But he's also right because in that time frame, this is what my mind was saying, because if I want abs, I can't eat this cake. So I put the cake away and I gave it back. I don't even think I touched it. So I just put it back at the table and I was like, never mind. So we went back to my room because this fucking horrible date kept going on. We went back to my room. And at this point, I'm really upset. I'm not digging him. He's making me feel shitty. The more and more the night's going on, he was making more and more comments where I just realized overall that we're not a good match. And he says to me before he leaves, Julie, there was something about you that I really appreciated. And I was like, wow, a compliment from this guy. This is this is going to be good. Guys, I shit you not. He says to me, I admire you because most girls I date are fit and you're not. And you don't care about that. You love your body no matter what. I love that you're not fit. My blood was boiling at this point. At this point, I have so much anger running through my veins. First of all, I realized he was thriving on the fact that I was overweight and unhappy and unhealthy because it could just make him feel like he was amazing because he was better than me. So that was step one. Step two, I realized that he was an asshole. So fuck him, right? Goodbye. And I never spoke to him again. Literally never spoke to him again after that. But then I was mad too because I realized how shitty I had been treating myself just from that comment that he made. And you're probably like, how? How the hell did you feel that after that? How did you not just want to cut his balls off right then and there? Because I did. I did want to cut his balls off. I wanted to just strangle his ass and be like, you know what? God gave me, Jesus might have gave you abs, but God gave me the strength to tell you to fuck off. But Julie at this time was still, taken in by society. And he's right. I'm fit. I'm not fit. And he's an asshole. He is. But why am I not taking care of myself anymore? So even with all of that anger, I still felt like I didn't take care of myself. So I started again. I started dancing more. I now started to go to the gym. I started to track my macros, and I got into the best shape ever. And it was the ultimate comeback. And it wasn't for him. It was all for me. But I tell you, that little rage and anger I had inside of me that came from that ignited this fire that was like, oh yeah, well fuck you. But also like, hell yeah, go Julie. So then we hit the phase of, uh-oh, now you're too thin. Oh no, wow, I could snap your neck in half. Oh, Julie, you're so thin. Oh my gosh, you're just so thin. You look so good in that dress because you're so thin. Again, thin is in. And even though in this point in time, I knew I finally had started to take care of myself. I finally took care of my mental health. I started to, because here we are. I started to, and I really started to take genuine, healthy steps. But the world still thought I was just thin, including my family. It even turned into, my family members comparing me to my sisters or to my cousins and being like, oh, yeah, but like you should look like Julie because she looks like this. And you should go to the gym like Julie and you should do these things like Julie. No, they should do things like them because that's what makes them happy. And I didn't do this because you said so. I did it because my own fire got ignited and I finally started to see my self worth. It has nothing to do with what other people think about me. It had everything to do with what I thought about me and the anger I felt in that moment, even from his shitty comment, that I deserved better. And in a way, he was right. I was okay with not being my best self. He could have said it a lot nicer, but I did deserve better. And I do deserve better. Fast forward now, the pandemic happened and all of us had our own things that we went through, dealt with, and everything that happened during the pandemic. And I started to lose myself again. The anxiety started to creep back in. The busy level rose past a level 10. Like I've mentioned in previous episodes, I was working 2 jobs, doing grad school. My wedding is in a month. And I don't look like that girl whose fire ignited that day. And I don't look like that girl who went to the gym 6 times a week and tracked her macros to the T. And sometimes I look in the mirror and I try on a dress that I used to be able to wear because I'm like, oh yeah, I have that pink dress. I could wear that. And it doesn't fit. And I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't bother me sometimes because it does. And I just really think it roots from how fucked up our society is about body image. We are raised in a world where if you don't look a certain way, you don't fit in. And this doesn't just affect me. I know it doesn't. It affects people from all different types of communities and paths of life. And it's horrible. Who decided that this look is the way that you're supposed to look? Because you know what you're supposed to look like? You're supposed to look like you. And you're supposed to look the way that you want to look. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have aesthetic goals. In fact, I would love to resharpen my saw a little bit and reignite that fire and find another way that I could even better myself. And yeah, maybe that means bettering my body too, but that's because my body deserves it. I don't want to punish my body. And I don't want to ever, ever have to meet somebody who tells me they had a similar story like I did, but I know I will because that is the world we live in. And it makes me so mad. And I know my story is complicated, but I'm sure there's stories out there who are far more complicated than mine and far more fucked up and just sad and oh, we deserve better. Your body is not the problem. The world is the problem. And I'm the type of person who tries to see the world in a half full light. I really am. I focus on that a lot. I try to find the joy and the happiness in shitty situations, but there is no happiness when it comes to judgment of the way somebody else looks, acts, or the way that they perceive themselves, because that is not fair. No one gets to decide how that person looks except for that person. If you want to get all the tattoos, you go for it. If you want to lose some weight, go ahead. It's okay. If you don't want to lose weight, that's okay too. If you want to gain weight, yes, that's okay too. There is no right or wrong about this because it's about how you feel. And if you don't feel confident in your body, that's okay too. It's okay. But don't blame your body and don't blame yourself. Blame the world. Blame society. Blame social media for having these models on there that look like you could snap them in half and making you think that that is expected. When in reality, that is just the way that that person looks. And it's okay if she looks that way, as long as she is happy in the way she looks. And she, being that model, she is not pushing you to look like her. There is nothing wrong with thin models, fit models, plus size models, short models, tall models, black models, white models. It does not matter as long as they are not making you look like them. Because what they should be doing is making you realize how beautiful you are and realizing that you have so much more potential and so much more to you than your body. And realizing that your body is not the enemy. Your body is the only thing you have that you will always have. And I want you to let that sink in for a second. When I went to Mexico last month for the Redefined Fitness retreat, we had to write a letter to our bodies. And we had to start off by saying, I'm sorry, because we put so much crap on us. We put so much pressure, so much hate, and our body keeps the score. And these are not just words that I'm making up. These are words that women I believe in and women that I look up to have shared. And I'm just doing my part by spreading the word. Your body is your best friend. If you can't make peace with your body because you're too worried about what somebody else thinks that isn't you, or you're too worried about meeting this unrealistic standard, or you're worried that you don't look a certain way because maybe you're like me and you have a wedding in a month and you're afraid that people are going to judge you for the way that you look in your dress. When you work so damn hard, then we need to rewrite that script. And then we need to say thank you. Because without your body, you would not be here. Literally, physically, spiritually, all of it. Do you realize that some people have wished that they had what you had? And here you are looking in the mirror hating it? I mean, what the hell? Why? Why? Why do we live in a world like that? And you know what? I was going to go through this whole article and give you guys how psychologists define body image, how it affects our health and our well being. But if these authentic words don't advocate for that enough, then I don't know what else will. There is no article I could read, no picture I could show you, nothing that'll change your mind unless you actually do the work and realize what you need to fix within yourself first. And that comes from not always comparing yourself to social media. A lot of my pictures I post are filtered. I like filters. They make me look tan. They make my teeth look whiter. I don't do body resizing filters though. I have not, will not, and never will use a filter that makes me look thinner. Unless I'm doing a comparison photo where you can see how I use the filter and then how I don't, because I don't want anybody to ever look at my page and be like, oh, I thought she was thinner than that. But also, if you do think that, oh well, I'm still proud of who I see when I look in the mirror because she works her ass off. And this goes back to my episode about being your biggest cheerleader. You need to be proud of yourself, to thank your body, your everything, because that's what you've got. And if you don't appreciate it, then that's on you. You will never be happy, internally and eternally happy, until you make peace with your body. You will never see the results you want until you make peace with your body. Stay the same, get a tattoo, do whatever, cut your hair, what, I don't care what you want to do with your body. It will not change anything until you make peace with your body. So I'm going to extend the offer that I was blessed to have received when I was in Mexico. Kelsey Wells made us, well, she didn't make us, she told us to write a letter to our body saying, I'm sorry, and saying thank you. And I highly recommend you do the same. Again, this is not my idea, but it truly, truly helped. And maybe you're thinking, I don't know what to say. I've been through a lot. I don't even know where to begin. And maybe you're like me, where your first thought was, fuck, I'm an ass. How could I do all of that to myself? I remember turning to my friend Stacy and being like, honestly, this just makes me so mad. Why did I ever do that to myself? And then I read it out loud and I started sobbing. Something about that trip just had everybody in tears 24/7, and it was the most beautiful thing. But for real, I guarantee you that if you went to do it, it's like your body's just like, thanks. I needed that. And I'm not saying that means that tomorrow you'll lose all that weight you wanted or that tomorrow you'll feel confident enough to put that bikini on. That's not what it does. What it does is it opens a door to a brighter path for you to live your life. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read my letter to you guys. Again, I am so thankful that you guys have made it through. This is probably one of the hardest episodes I've recorded just because I was so scatterbrained. And honestly, my story is even more detailed than I was able to share. But I just want everybody to realize that they're not the only one who struggles with body image issues or, you know, wanting to be more positive about your body or feeling ashamed because there is something you want to change. It's okay. Just make sure you're not hating your body and make sure you're not blaming your body because it's not your body's fault. I don't care if you're sick or if you've got a disability or if something is quite literally wrong, it's not your body's fault. It's not. You get to decide how you look when you look in the mirror. And the only opinion that matters is yours. Okay, here goes nothing. I should also say that I have not read this letter out loud since Mexico, but I feel pretty strong. Okay. Dear my beautiful body, I'm so sorry. I truly am. I used to try to change you all the time, and this part hurts the most. Sometimes I still do. Sometimes I still think that I should, and I hate that. With my wedding coming up, I've put so much pressure on you to look and to be amazing. But you already are. And I'm so sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry I let society tell me what you should look like and that I looked at you with disappointment. It kills me that I did this to you and that I still get thoughts like this. But I promise you, I am here for you. I truly do appreciate you and love you. You have saved me more times than I'll ever be able to count. You are my best friend, and you never let me down. So, with that, I say thank you. Thank you for carrying me through my life, through our life. Thank you for bringing me awareness and for always sticking with me. Thank you for healing me and reminding me how big our heart is and how strong our gut intuition is. Thank you for every single thing. You are the relationship that matters the most to me. And I just know that one day we are going to change the world together. Despite the anxiety, despite the fear, despite always thinking that my stomach is too big, despite it all, we're in this together forever. I love you so much. Your soul, Julie. P.S. Our tummy is beautiful, and we won't let anyone tell us otherwise. Whew. Okay. If you are still here, thank you for listening. I love you so much. That was a very emotional episode. And I hope that you have a great day. And next time you look at yourself in the mirror, be proud of who you see.